Hello, traders. It's 8 a.m. Chicago time on Thursday, the 26th of March, 2020. This is episode number 1721. Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. This morning, the market is continuing from yesterday's sell off after the push higher in the indices. Crude oil is the weakest, down 70 cents, trading down almost 3%, 2.94%, trading at 23.77. The DAX is off 190 points or 1.94%. The Euro Stoxx down 1.84%. And the S&P is off 14 points, has recovered, was actually trading around 2,400 during that just gigantic increase in initial claims. Talk about that in a sec. The Dow Jones is down 76 points and the Nasdaq's down 27 points. Allocation is slightly to safety this morning, although the treasuries aren't doing very much. The treasuries, the bonds are up 28 ticks. The 10-year note's up 9.5 ticks, and the Bund is up 86 ticks. Gold is taking the lead today, up 1.73%, or $28.90. Gold is currently trading at $1,662.30. So here's what things look like to me overall. The historic, gigantic relief bill had passed, and the stimulus bill, $2 trillion, had passed the U.S. Senate, goes to the House. The House is expected to vote on it tomorrow, I believe 9:30 or 9 a.m. Eastern, and it's expected to pass there. And but the market, despite this news, the market was off last night, was trading lower than it was yesterday. Um, and then today we came in and we see that the it starts out with Europe releasing the German GfK consumer confidence number, which was way off. The forecast was 7.1, and it got 2.7. Bunch of numbers out of the EU and Great Britain. The Bank of England did not change its posture on interest rates. Then we have this number that was, feared by the White House all last week, asking various states' labor departments not to report this number. Apparently, not sure, don't care. But the expectation was for a million, for plus 1 million initial claims. Now, remember, this number usually comes in at about 200 to 220,000 per week for initial and continuing claims. Today, it came in at 3.283 million. That's about three times the expected, about four times the highest number that we've ever had. This is a record initial claims number. These are people that are filing for unemployment claims, just huge. And of course, the circumstances are such that that's what people will do. Just hundreds of thousands of people are being laid off, and so they go and file for their jobless claim, and we're seeing that number. And what we saw, and we'll look at this on the chart here in a second, what we saw is the market climbing. So it, what is it saying? It's saying, to me, it's saying it's somewhat baked in. The stimulus passing is baked in. The number, as bad as it is baked in. It's almost like the market saying, okay, now that that's behind us, let's move on to the next thing. And it's been pushing higher since. It tagged 2,400 on the number, and it's squeezing higher. It's above the overnight point of control. So overall, very interesting. Very interesting that it did this. Now, remember, yesterday afternoon we did rally quite a bit. We had 100 and what is it? 170 point range yesterday in the RTH alone, and in the S&P, and we ended up selling off to below the midpoint as the market kind of adjusts before the vote. And so that's where we stand. In terms of what's ahead for today, we do have the natural gas figure. It's not really important to me, to most of you. We do have a couple of auctions, the 4-week bill, 8-week bill, and 70-year note auctions coming up. And then that's pretty much it. Tokyo CPI, Tokyo Core CPI, and then industrial profits from China, and most likely a lot of news. The amount of the number of coronavirus cases in the United States shot way up yesterday. I believe it was a record break higher on the number of cases. And of course, as we all know, um, it's we still don't know how many really have been infected. So I expect that over time, we're likely to see more and more in this realm as more and more people get tested, as more kits go around. So the numbers out of Spain continue to climb, and that's not looking good. So the sequence of increases in corona cases is actually quite as anticipated by the experts, and it's quite scary. I invite you to take a look at some of the websites tracking it. It's a pretty fearsome thing. So that's that. Let's take a look at what was expected yesterday versus what we got yesterday. We're opening at the upper end of the range, and I talked quite a bit about the area that's X'd out here between 2440 and 2445 being the line in the sand for me. And we were opening right in that area as I was talking. And the primary expectation is that it's likely to face some resistance and drop down into the 2370-ish, 2365 area before a bounce. The secondary scenario is it attempts to push lower in an open auction, and then we're likely to squeeze higher into, I believe I was saying 2515 or so. 2515 or so. Here's what actually happened yesterday. Wow, there's a lot of rotations yesterday. Let's not use that chart. Here's what actually happened. We opened at 2444 right on top of that zone. We pushed down, we pushed up, and then we sold off down to 2393. So not to the extent expected. I expected it down at 65, 2365. And then from there, we start to squeeze higher. We extend the range upwards. Again, the area that I was monitoring yesterday very carefully was 24, 40 to 45. We end up squeezing higher, and then from there, looking for 2544 above 2500. It pushed right through, and it ended up selling off into the close on what was really decent volume, coming right back to the point of control for the session beneath the VWAP, beneath the mid, inside of the IB, and was basically acting like it was discounting the rally above 2486. Essentially, could not hold prices above 2500 yesterday. The delta was very strong yesterday, reaching some pretty high numbers, and it looked like it was going to continue to get support. But the selling on the close, I don't know if that was news-based or what, but overall, just couldn't hold those higher prices. So in the overnight session, in light of the fact that we have somewhat of a double distribution profile, we're beneath the low volume node, which was at about 24.90. The expectation overnight is that we are likely to squeeze lower. Here's the overnight session. We open back up, test back um, almost to the pullback area right here. We sell off, and then Europe comes in. Where are you? And then Europe comes in right in here, and they basically are in balance and selling off. And there's the release of the initial claims in GDP, and the market has taken a pretty strong bounce. The profile overnight is pretty balanced. Volume is actually quite low, relatively low to the prior overnight sessions at 528,000. The market seems to be at rest and most likely in standby mode, and that is likely to be the kind of regime we're going into, the kind of day we're going into today. So the profile overnight appears to be balanced with a clearly defined value area with the point of control mid and VWAP about in the same range, 2440 to 2450. That's that zone from yesterday yet again. And so as we come in and open up, we're opening up right in the thick of the overnight session, and I'm expecting that we're likely to run into resistance up at 2470, 75 right up here, likely to run into that. It's the close area as well, and likely to be a choppy open. That's what the overnight session is indicating. In the order flow, some interesting rotations, but a relatively muted evening until or overnight session until the initial claims. Did not see for the first time in a while. Did not see some real clear collisions and test areas. The 2415 here had a nice collision and a bounce. And then underneath there, we had the 2400, which I'll show you here. 2400 was lit up. Look at that. 2400 was lit up pretty good. And we hit it. We collided with it. You could see that size trading at the at that area, and it was pretty well stacked. Uh, Bounced right off and pushed through, took out the last high, and is now running for a little bit. I don't believe it has the energy. I don't believe it has the energy to continue higher from here. In my opinion, I think it's more likely to chop around from here than anything else. So let's look at the key areas that are showing up here. The overnight high is at 2497.50 in front of the 2500. This is still a key offered area, same as yesterday. This size has been here quite some time. There's a little bit of an offer in this area here, 2475. I just talked about it. I'm expecting 2475 to present a little bit of a challenge on the open and likely to cause some chop, some chop in here. And then on the way down, 2415 comes back in. Remember, 2415 was the subject of that collision earlier in a bounce. It's back in play right down here. It coincides with yesterday's value area. And then beneath there is 2400. Those are the key kind of areas on the map. Here we go. Those are the key areas on the map that we're looking at for today. So above there, we're looking at 2550, 2550, and yesterday the high was 2560. I don't think today it'll likely get up there. It's likely to be a digestion kind of balanced day today, in my opinion. Okay, so let's bounce back and go right into what's expected for today. today, a ripe day, in my opinion, for an open auction in a range in value. We are right in the meat of um, yesterday's high volume area. It looks like the system is warning me that frames are being dropped. The connection is quite poor. Connection is quite poor again. This is on my end or YouTube. I'm not really sure, but I am getting warnings of that. Um, Expecting an open auction here pretty wide, and then I'm looking for a test of 2470, 2475. I'm looking for it to not be able to successfully push higher, looking for an impulse down into this 2445 area from before, and for it to slip through and down into the 2400 again for the overnight low, and then potentially testing a little bit lower down into 2370 for 100 points of range, and then a pop. This is what things are looking like right now. I cannot change the I cannot change the quality of the broadcast. I'm broadcasting in 1080p high definition. I cannot change it mid broadcast. So Um, the secondary scenario is an open auction that moves lower, that ends up failing in and moves lower into this point of control 2440, consolidates here for a little bit, and then eventually has an impulse up and then starts to squeeze higher as we push back above the 2500. Expect a fight at 2500 and a squeeze into 2515, 2520. And then what we'll likely do is on Friday continue to squeeze, um, likely squeeze shorts and start pushing above 2560 on its merry way to 2600. That's what's likely to happen. If depending, today's really an important day in terms of how the market resolves balance here after popping higher on the stimulus bills. So it's really important to see how the day finishes and to see what areas were tested and how strong a finish, how weak a finish we have. It's likely to continue into tomorrow, whatever we end up with today. Sorry about the connection issues, and there's not much I can do about it here. The service is just not the service is getting hammered, I think, and it's just not working right. Good luck, and I'll catch you tomorrow. Take care.